All right, we have Coach George Gelnovatch here for his weekly web interview. Coach, obviously a good result up at BC with a scoreless draw. Just tell us about that and what the team has been doing the last few days.
Yeah, it's a tough place to play at Boston College. First of all, they're a quality team. The turf makes it really tough to play there. This late in the season, there's a lot to play for in terms of points and standings, so there was a lot going into it. We certainly weren't playing for a tie, but we understood the dynamics of what a tie meant and what a result meant in terms of getting points, at least 1 point coming out of that game. And we managed the game so that in the end, we came out with a result and a very important point.
I know you guys have been harping on defense a lot lately, giving up some easy goals. Obviously, it had to be great to see a shutout out of that one.
Yeah. Yeah, I think our main focus was to really be disciplined and first of all to be really tough to score on. We adjusted a few things with like Eric Bird and Todd Wharton in the midfield, and asking them to be kind of more defensive, true defensive midfielders, as opposed to kind of one of them drifting forward a little bit. And I think that made a real difference in the game. But overall, I think it was just our mentality and our response. Me putting a responsibility, or pressure, a little bit of pressure on them, how important this game was. I felt like they were ready for it from a maturity standpoint, even though it's still six freshmen. We're 2 months into the season, and my thoughts were they've got to be ready at this time to take this kind of challenge and handle this kind of pressure, and the response was great.
Talk about this freshman evolving. Obviously, you've kind of done things in steps this year. It has to be good, as you said, to see them really start to step up as the season comes down the wire here.
Yeah, in this Boston College game, I've been careful all year to not put too much pressure on a lot of these first year guys, and not squeeze too hard. But we decided to, with it being 2 months into the season, it's kind of getting crunch time. These guys should have some level of maturity, even though they're still first years, having been through 2 months and a bunch of games. And so we really challenged them. We let them know how important this game was from an RPI standpoint, from points in the ACC and the NCAA playoffs, and we really put a little bit of a burden and some pressure on them in that game. And we didn't win the game, but the response was fantastic. The response was absolutely fantastic, and I'm hoping that moving forward that it's the same.
Now that you're getting down to the end of the year, you got a week of rest going into the NC State game. How much does that benefit your team heading down the stretch here?
Well, two things. One is just the rest. I think being able to. We came home from Boston College on Saturday. They had all Saturday, all Sunday, and no Tuesday game to get ready for. So, one is that they're a little bit more rested, but more importantly, these past 2 weeks we've actually been able to train. And not just walk through things. We've actually been able to train, and we've had some real meaningful training sessions. We haven't been able to train like this since preseason, to be honest with you. So, and I think that also did us a world of good going into the Boston College game. We were able to really have 2 or 3 days of just good team training. And we've had a couple of days leading up to this NC State game to have some good team training.
Particularly with a young team, that's got to be really key for you as well, I think, right?
It is, and I think the important thing is, we were able to, in these past 2 weeks, train as a team and not worry about, like, the starters versus the non-starters. And we were just mixing guys like in preseason. It was literally like, we weren't concerned about whether you're a starter, whether you're not a starter. We literally mixed things up as if it were preseason, taking a look at different things, letting them compete. They're fresh, have a little fun as well. And again, the response was great.
NC State Thursday, obviously another big match, just like every other one in the ACC. What do they bring to the table? What kind of challenges do they present for you?
Yeah, I think their destiny is determined in terms of the first round of the ACC tournament. They are in the playing game. But I think they are playing with a lot of pride, playing for a lot of pride. In their mind, I'm thinking, if I was the head coach there, the only way they're going to get into the playoffs is to win the ACC tournament. And one of the ways to get a little wind in your sails and to get some confidence going into that thing is to win your last home game in the conference. And We are fully planning, even though their kind of fate is determined in terms of the play-in game. We're fully expecting a hard-fought game.
Great. Thanks, George.
Yep.